What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today I want to talk to you about wide receiver busts. These are guys that I am not targeting. Maybe not so much not targeting, but I think they're way too overvalued, and we need to start looking at this more seriously and start avoiding these guys. I don't like to waste your time. I like to get right into the content, and if you like that about me, you should hit that subscribe button. So let's jump right in. Number one, I'm going with Stefon Diggs. Now, this is a trouble for me because Stefon Diggs is a really good wide receiver. He is. He's talented. He's good. I love that play in Minnesota where he caught the ball and the whole helmet toss. That was great. And with Josh Allen in Buffalo, they had one of the best seasons combinations I've ever seen. 1,500 yards, 8 scores, great season, right? The problem is that has inflated his value up to number 4 overall wide receiver coming into the year. I don't want to pay for what he did last year. I want to know what he's going to do this year going forward. And I don't believe that this one season, now it is different. He's got a much better quarterback. He's in an offense that's better than Minnesota with Cousins and all that fun stuff. I understand that, but I'm more willing to believe that he's going to come back down a little bit towards the norm than be able to maintain that top 3 status. I just don't buy it. I think that Josh Allen isn't going to regress a ton, but I do think that there is regression coming. Usually these guys, first come out and have huge seasons, and then they do regress. I mean, thinking of RG3, thinking about a lot of guys like that who come out and have huge rookie seasons, and then they tend to regress. So to me, if Josh Allen is going to regress ever so slightly, and it can be ever so slightly, then taking Diggs at number 4 for me it's just too high. If you like Diggs and you want to take him second round, maybe late second round, I'm better with that. But if you're looking at a late first round, early second round pick on Diggs, it's way too much for me. It's way too much to risk for me, and I can't do it. Similar story with Keenan Allen. So his career so far has been very even. Like, you know exactly what you're going to get with him. Then all of a sudden last year, it just jumped up, and he had a great year. And mostly I'm talking about touchdowns. He always scores 4 to 6 touchdowns, and it's always like, man, I wish he could get more. Yards-wise, he's always been right around 1,000. Now, all of a sudden, after he did score a few more touchdowns, we're taking him at wide receiver 11. That's higher than Mike Evans. That's higher than Amari Cooper. That doesn't make any sense to me. And so, I understand that Justin Herbert had a good season, but again, just like Josh Allen, I'm not banking on that happening again. There's no way I'm banking on that. I think there's more likely chance that Josh Allen continues to be who he is, and a much higher chance that Justin Herbert is going to go down. It's just the pedigree. The pedigree means something to me. I think that Keenan Allen has a high floor, but his ceiling is pretty capped pretty quick. And to me, taking him at 11, do you really want like a safe guy that career usually is taken like the 6th or 7th round? Because he had one good season, I'm not buying his season he did before. I want what you're going to do next. That's what I'm talking about. So, moving on. I've talked about Allen Robinson a lot, and I feel like I'm smashing Andy Dalton big time. And it's probably the Chicago Bears fans probably say, "Oh yeah, he's from Detroit. He hates the Bears." And there's a part of me, like my personal feelings. I want the Lions to win, but we've never been competitive enough to like really have a true rivalry. So it's not a Bears bias, but to me, Allen Robinson is going to absolutely tank. Unless something changes drastically. Look what Dalton was able to do in Dallas. It just wasn't fantasy gold. It wasn't even bronze. It was just Andy Dalton managing the games and trying to get as many wins as they possibly can. They were trying to get 7 wins to make the playoffs, and they couldn't even do that. And this is with Zeke and with all these good offensive linemen and all this stuff. He still wasn't able to do that. So the good thing Allen Robinson has going for him is he's literally the only wide receiver that they're going to throw it to. But I do not see him getting 1,300 yards like it shows here. 6 touchdowns might be on the possibility, but why would you take this guy over Mike Evans at this point? Mike Evans is in a high-caliber offense who's going to score a lot more, and he's going to get easily 1,000 yards, unless he's hurt, of course. So if you really believe in Andy Dalton, I guess go ahead and draft Allen Robinson, but I'm the guy who's going to kind of chuckle to myself a little bit when somebody takes him. Maybe Chicago makes a play in the draft, but even then, it's like, Allen Robinson, I feel bad for Allen Robinson. Let's get serious here. I feel bad for Allen Robinson. I feel like he had that 14 touchdown year, and I feel like he is an elite talent, like a legit elite talent, but has never had a quarterback able to possibly get him the ball. He's like Calvin Johnson Jr., and I'll use a Detroit reference. If Calvin Johnson played with Peyton Manning, he'd probably be the greatest receiver ever, and he might be anyway. But Allen Robinson's career could have been so much different with good quarterback play, and it's just not any better for him. And so that's why he's on my bust list. Terry McLaurin, this is a tough one for me too, because the argument is, of course, that he's always had bad quarterback play, and he's going to continue to have not great quarterback play. Fitzpatrick comes in. They're talking about drafting a quarterback and having him compete and all this fun stuff. Fitzpatrick's not really known for having great receivers either and all this fun stuff. So maybe there is a connection that can happen here. But for me, I don't like taking receivers on bad teams with really potentially bad quarterbacks. I don't want to say Fitzpatrick's a bad quarterback because he's been relevant in this league for a long time. What I'm trying to get at is that Fitzpatrick is not a fantasy good quarterback. And Washington is not going to be a good football team. I mean, yes, they made the playoffs last year, but I don't really expect that to happen again. The good thing is that McLaurin only had 4 touchdowns, and that might go up, but I think that the receptions and yards are ultimately going to go down. Even so, even if he repeats what he did last year, 100% repeats it, he's still not the 15th best receiver. Again, I'm going to say Amari Cooper. They have him at 20. So it's guys that are like this that I feel like jump up based on not very much evidence. So for me, McLaurin is a bit of a bust just at the value that they have him at. It's too much. They're projecting him to continue to rise, and I'm projecting him to at least stay even or go down. So that's the big difference there. The last one is Will Fuller. I talked about him a little bit on the position moves. He's going to Miami, which isn't necessarily the best fit. I do believe in Tua. I think that Tua needs a chance to be able to play. And I think that he can be a decent quarterback in this league eventually if they stick with him. However, Tua is not Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, I don't know what's going on with his legal stuff. I'm trying to stay out of it as much as possible for right now until something comes out more. But Deshaun Watson is a top 4, top 5 quarterback, especially in the fantasy realm. He's a dual guy that can do everything. And Tua is that guy, but he's like 3 years away from being anywhere near Deshaun Watson, and he probably won't ever be as good as Deshaun Watson is. Will Fuller also cannot stay on the field, which has been absolutely crushing his production. This year he played 11 games, scored 8 touchdowns, and had 900 yards. That's crazy. What if he plays 16 games? Well, we've been saying that for 6 years now with this guy, and it hasn't happened, and the offensive situation is much worse. So for me, I'm not avoiding it entirely, but I'm not on the hype train of Will Fuller. And that's just me. So that's the bust list. This is version 1, guys. I'm sure this will change a lot as we go on. This is all done pre-draft, so who knows what will happen coming up. But these are guys we got to keep in mind. Hit that sub button. We'll see you next time.